Hello, and welcome to the Sarah Seams podcast. This is episode 43. My name's Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, and this channel is where I share all my crafty projects. So it's mostly knitting, but I like to dabble in all the fiber arts. So today I think we have mostly knitting, but a little bit of spinning talk at the end, and I will give a little bit of a quilting update today as well. So I do these regular podcast episodes once a month. This is where I do the traditional format, finished objects, whips, chat, acquisitions, etc. And then throughout the month, every Friday, I do a Friday fiber chat, which is a little short form video where I just cover a different fiber related topic each week. So this past month in May, I have my notes here if you see me looking over. The topics that I covered on those were my Ravelry queue. I went through my Ravelry queue, which was fun. A sock knitting Q&A, which is one of the most popular videos I've done in a while. You guys really seem to love that one. So thank you so much to everyone that engaged there, left a comment. There's some really great comments over there if you are interested in sock knitting. And I think that really just kind of affirmed for me that I probably should lean into my love of sock knitting even more than I already do. If you're a regular viewer here, you'll know that I love knitting socks and I always have like 4 to 5 pairs of socks on the go at once. So I might lean into sock content a little bit more in those shorter videos. But I'm always curious what you guys would love to see in those videos. So please do let me know if there's anything else you'd love me to cover. And the last one was sock knitting plans. So I just started a new section of Summerlee's book, The Sock Project. I've been working through the entire book, knitting all the patterns, and I just kind of picked out all my yarn for those and went through the plans. So if you're interested in any of those, they'll all be linked below in the description box. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun making those shorter form videos and it seems like y'all are enjoying them too. So yeah, thanks so much for being here if you're a returning viewer. And if you're new, welcome. Really happy to have you here. So let's get into it. My social media is linked in the description box below: Instagram, Ravelry, and email if you want to reach out to me. Those are all available there. I also have my affiliate link with the Woolly Thistle linked in the description box below. If you have any interested in checking out their awesome yarn selection, please feel free to use that link. If you do decide to purchase something, I get a small commission, but it doesn't cost you anything. So that's always there if you're interested. And with all the admin out of the way, I think we should dive in because I have lots to share as usual. I'm going to start with what I am wearing, and this one is timely given one of my other finished objects. So this is my outline tee. The pattern is by Jessie May, and I knit this, I think I finished it in April of 2023. So it's been a couple years. It is probably my favorite summer tee that I have made to date. The yarn is Ritual Dyes Undine, which is probably my favorite summer yarn. And it is a 60/40 cotton linen blend. The color of this one is called Jewel Weed, and it's just like a really pretty orangey red. I think now they might have reformulated the dye for this, and it is more red in the newer dye lots that I've seen, but this one leans a little bit more orange. I'll stand up so you can see it. And I made the size 4. So I think it really just fits so well. That drop stitch detail is really, really cool. Has that on the side and the back as well. I will say when I first finished this tee, it was a little longer than I wanted. And what I ended up just throwing it in the washer and dryer, which is the recommended care for this yarn anyway. And it shrunk right up to like the perfect size. So really happy with how it turned out. My one complaint about this, and I will talk about the same complaint on the other finished object I'm going to talk about in a minute, is that I think I realized something about when you're making the neckline, you're decreasing in slip slip knit on one side and knit 2 together on the other side. And I think one, at least for me when I'm knitting them, one is looser than the other. So the sweater does tend to kind of skew over time. Like right now, the shoulder seams aren't exactly lined up. So like if I line them up exactly, it kind of skews off to this way because this neckline edge is longer than this one. So when I'm wearing it and it's just kind of situated, I don't really notice that, and it doesn't really bother me. It does tend to like stay in the middle, but from the back you can see that the shoulder seams are kind of wonky. And in the back, the neckline probably gets a little tilted. So that's just one thing I would note on this pattern. And I think if I ever made this again, which I would consider making like a black one or a white one, because I really love to wear this, I would maybe take note of that, and whatever neckline side that is, I don't remember off the top of my head, try to tighten that edge up as I'm knitting it to kind of even that out a little bit. So that's just one thing to note, but I did really enjoy this pattern. This is one of, I've had some fit issues with Jessie May's patterns in the past year or so, but this is one that I didn't have any issues with. I knit it to pattern and really love the way it fits. Would knit again. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. All right, let's jump into FOs. The first one I'm gonna have to show you a picture of because I don't have it with me anymore, but it is the Ribka pouch. Here's a picture. It is this funny little fish pouch that's been kind of trending. I had no plans to knit this, but my sister somehow came across this on Instagram, or I think maybe her friend had made one and showed it to her. I just got a text out of the blue from her that was like, hey, will you make me this fish pouch? So this is, as I said, the Ribka pouch by Rat and Sea Witch is the designer. And it is a really fun little pattern. And I think I will probably make one for myself at some point as well. It's knit in 2 pieces. So you knit each half flat and then you join them using a single crochet. And you knit the little I-cord. It's really cute. There's 2 different sizes. This one is the smaller size, which really it's just shorter or longer. So the shorter size, which is perfect for like AirPods, like your little headphones. And I think that's probably what my sister is going to use it for. And that's probably what I would use it for too if I end up making one for myself. But there is also a longer size that they say is better for like a pencil pouch or something like that. So yeah, I think I knit most of it in like an evening. Really quick, fun knit. It does call for fingering weight and mohair held together. And the yarn you'll recognize from the next finished object I'm going to show you. So yeah, it was really fun, pretty quick knit, and my sister is really happy with it. So if you're looking for a fun little whimsical project, I would recommend this one. All right, so speaking of the yarn, the next finished object I have are the mohair DK socks from Summerlee's book, The Sock Project. Here they are, and you can see this is the same yarn I used for the Ribka pouch because I finished these socks, and that was when Laura asked me to make her the pouch, so I just used the same yarn, and this is like her favorite color anyway. So yeah, I have a new fuzzy warm pair of socks. I'm really excited to have these. I think they're so comfortable. I love a DK weight sock and I love a mohair sock, and these are going to be the first pair of mohair socks I'm keeping for myself, so really excited to have them. Yeah, I think the yarn is just gorgeous. That lilac with flecks of a darker blue and a little bit of pink. And they're really just a vanilla basic DK sock. The yarns, the main color, the fingering weight yarn, was Artemis yarn. And the color is Good Witch. And this is her soft sock base. It's 85-15 blend. And then the mohair was Hedgehog Fibers Kid Silk Lace in the color Hush, which is such a beautiful like pinky purple color of theirs. This one is 70% mohair, 30% silk. And I got these yarns together in a D-stash and they were a perfect combo. So happy I was able to get these socks out of them, and I have quite a bit left over as well. So yeah, really pleased with these. And as I've talked about this year, every time I finish a pair of socks, I'm knitting a tiny sock to match. Oh, now there's mohair floating around everywhere. And my plan is at Vlogmas this year, early on in December, I'm going to string them all onto a little garland and have them as a Christmas decoration. So yeah, here is the tiny sock. I am loosely using the Tiny Tree Sock pattern by Summerlee. I have had to adapt it for the DK weight version, but really that was just kind of a matter of doing a little bit of simple math to figure out the stitch counts. The DK weight ones do come out a tiny bit bigger than the fingering weight ones, but I think that's to be expected just with the difference in yarn weight. So cute little baby sock. Okay, another pair of socks. These are one of my favorites I've made this year. I just love these colors. So these are the May Colorwork Cuff Club socks, again by Summerlee. I've had a real heavy Summerlee sock knitting phase recently, and it's not gonna stop anytime soon. Because I'm knitting through her book and doing the Colorwork Cuff Club, I'm basically knitting 2 pairs of socks designed by her every month, if not every month, most months. So yeah, these were the May Colorwork Cuff Club socks. So they have a really cute kind of vintage, like rose inspired motif. And to be fully honest, when I first saw this motif, I wasn't like in love with it. I don't know, something about it, I just wasn't like super excited about it, but I went to my stash, I started playing with color, and I was like really gravitating, I'm sorry, I can't speak today, gravitating towards this really bright sunny lime green, and then popping it with like a brighter pink and a darker green. And I think in this color combo, I love these. Something about the vintage inspired motif with the really bright punchy color just made them really work for me. And I think they're one of my favorite pairs of socks I've knit this year. And there is also this broken rib stitch on the leg and foot that's really beautiful. So the main yarn, the green one, is one I just purchased at local yarn store day from Dye Mad Yarns, which is one of our local shops that dye all of their own yarn. And here's the ball band. This is their Chester sock base. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the color is pop, which is just perfect. I couldn't get enough of these. I love them. I can't wait to start wearing them. I don't know if I've talked about this year, but what I kind of do with my socks is throughout the year, I just set them all aside in like a sock box. And then around the holidays, like in December for Vlogmas, I gift myself all the pairs throughout the month. So I won't start wearing them right away. I'll probably get to wear them like next spring, but I am really, really excited about these. And the reason I do that, because I have had people ask, is it's fun for me to like revisit them in December and like wear them all and kind of gift them to myself. But also I have so many socks already. I'm definitely not hurting for socks. So it's fine for me to hold on to them until next year. And it's fun to get like a whole crop of them into your wardrobe at once. So for the tiny version of this guy, I didn't really fuss with any color work or the broken rib. I just knit the tiny sock in that really fun bright green color. So yeah, those are my socks for May. One more that I don't have with me was the final baby knit in a collection of knits I made for our niece who's coming so soon. She's due at the end of June, so just a couple more weeks until she's gonna be with us. And the final sweater I knit for her was the Cassandra sweater by Nash Knits. I knit this in Knit Picks Brava Recycle. Here is the ball band for that. And I have to say this was my least favorite yarn of all the ones I purchased to make these baby knits. I knit a whole little collection. There was a little romper, a little cardigan, this sweater, some mittens, and a hat. And I did do a whole separate video about that. If you're interested, I can link that up here. But yeah, I purchased all these yarns from Knit Picks. I purchased this one and then Knit Picks Swish, their DK, which was the other one. That one I really enjoyed working with. This one, not so much. I probably wouldn't buy this one again. So the color here is Zeke or Zeke, it's Z-E-K-E. It's 306 yards for 100 grams. So they say this is DK, and I would say it's like closer to a sport weight, but it did plump up a lot in washing, so there's that to consider. It is 100% recycled acrylic, and I did not enjoy the experience of knitting with this yarn. It's the first time I've ever experienced acrylic yarn being squeaky. Like, I feel like you hear people talk about that, and I had never experienced it until I worked with this yarn, and it really was squeaky, like in my hands. It had a pretty unpleasant, like plasticky hand feel. And with it being recycled, the fibers are smaller and shorter than they would be with like a virgin polyester as opposed to recycled. And it shed a lot while I was knitting with it, and it is machine wash and dryable, which, you know, for a baby, that's ideal. So when I washed and dried it, it looked like it was knit out of like mohair, like it like poofed up and there was just like fluff all over it from all the little fibers. So, and the hand feel after washing is also not that great. So I definitely would not recommend this yarn. I probably won't buy it again. I think the project turned out really nice, but yeah, not my favorite of all the things I knit for this little collection. So that's that. happy to have it done. I was so happy to be able to gift them all of that stuff. They really, really loved it, and it got a great reaction at the baby shower, so that was really fun. But this yarn, not my favorite. Okay, next up is another thing in the outline collection, as I was kind of teasing. So I recently went to Chicago with my sister, and we popped into Nina Chicago, which is a really beautiful yarn shop there. If you ever get the chance to go, I'd highly recommend it. And we both, we were talking about this. I'm always wanting to knit things for my sister, but she doesn't really like to wear wool. She definitely prefers like summer fibers, or funny enough, she like loves mohair. She loves to wear mohair, but she doesn't like to wear like more traditional wools. So we were there and I was kind of like, hey, can I knit you something? We were looking at the summer yarns and we saw that they carried the Ritual Dyes Undine in the fingering weight. And they had this gorgeous green color that we both fell in love with, and decided that I was gonna make matching outline tanks for us in this yarn. So we bought enough, 3 balls of it was gonna be enough to make the tank for her and me. So I finished hers. So let me show you it and then we'll talk about it. So here it is. This is the size 2, the outline tank, again by Jessie May. It is in the same pattern family as the outline tee. Has that same really pretty drop stitch detailing. However, this one is, as you can see, a little V-neck tank top. It is knit bottom up. They're both knit bottom up. And I just followed the pattern as written, and I'm a little bit worried it's not going to be quite as cropped as she wants, but I'm going to have her try it on later today and see if she wants it shorter. I'll just have to like pick up stitches and reknit the bottom band. It shouldn't be too difficult. I'll have to figure out how to navigate the drop stitches, but I'll figure it out. And the straps as well, they look short to me, but this is per pattern. So again, I need her to try it on, and then if I need to undo the straps and knit them a little bit longer, that's fine. They are finished with a 3 needle bind off. So yeah, you knit bottom up, then you split, knit the cups and the straps, and then they're joined with a 3 needle bind off. So it was a really enjoyable knit. I honestly loved knitting, having this like stockinette body in the round. I was knitting on this like while I would walk on the treadmill or something like that, because I have found when I'm walking on the treadmill, if my hands are getting a little hot and sweaty, a plant fiber is like a great thing to be working on while you're doing that. So yeah, this was my treadmill project. And once you finish the body, I think I finished the rest of it in like a day or 2. Like the cups go really quickly once you finish the body, especially in this size, which is smaller than my normal size. So I do think it turned out really cute. Again, I love this yarn. So nice to work with, so nice to wear. I did go ahead and put this in the washer and dryer, as that's how I care for mine, and I know that's how she's gonna care for hers. And it is the recommended for this yarn. So it did shrink up a little bit. The yarn took on that really nice soft hand feel. Just has a really beautiful stitch definition. My concern with this, as I was saying here, how this is a little lopsided, I think it's much more noticeable on the tank top. And maybe you can even see, like, here, if I kind of shake it out a little, and I'm holding the seams, like the shoulder seams, like right on my fingers, you can see how it skews, like from front to back. Hopefully you can see that center front seam, how it's like not lining up. So we'll see how it looks on body. I had it on my dress form and it looks okay, but the one neckline edge is just definitely looser than the other one. And I don't know how that's gonna work out on body. So I'm eager for her to try it on. I hope she likes it and it's wearable. Like I said, I'm more than happy to make those couple of like length adjustments if needed, but I don't think I could easily adjust that neckline issue without like reknitting the entire top, which I really don't want to do. So we'll see. Something to note if you're interested in making this, and my plan was to cast on my version like immediately after finishing this, but I want to see how this fits on her before I start mine, because if that's really like a bothersome issue, I will probably just knit something else instead. I'm not opposed to knitting the same thing twice in a row, but I also was like, do I really want to knit the same thing twice in a row? So if I decide I want to knit the same thing for myself, I might leave it till next spring just to give myself a little bit of a break. But yeah, that is all finished, and we'll see how she likes it later today. Okay, last finished object is an absolutely massive one, and I have no idea how to show this to you. So let me put a couple pictures in while I'm talking about it first, and then I'll try and show you. So I participated this year in the March to May KAL. That is Andrea Mowry's sweater and shawl knit along that she hosted in the spring. And I participated last year as well and also knit a shawl. So I just kind of got the itch to do it again this year. And I decided to knit the Find Your Fade shawl. And I had so much fun going into my stash and digging out random skeins of sock yarn to put into a fade and make this. So here's a picture of the finished shawl, kind of wrapped up on the mannequin. It is absolutely massive. It is like twice as big as any other shawl I've ever made. Like, I really don't know how to style it because it's so large, and it's not even really like blankety in shape. So I have no idea if I'm ever going to be able to wear this or not. But with that said, I had so much fun knitting it. It was a really delightful project that I enjoyed having on my needles, and I think the finished object looks very cool and fun. But I don't know how to wear it. So I would love to know if any of you have knit this, how do you style this? Because even looking at Andrea Mowry's photos, I'm like, would anyone actually wear that like that? And mine might even be bigger than hers. Like, it's so huge. So yeah, here it is. It's all folded up because it's so massive, but I thought I would go through the colors and in detail, because I don't think I've really done that ever, but now that it's finished, I wanted to kind of share what all the colors were. And I did have to write them all down because there's 7 different colors in this. So we started at this tip, and I should say too, the shawl is really just alternating garter and lace sections and then marling in the garter sections. So we started with this kind of blue-gray, and this was leftovers I had of a skein of Miss Babs. It was kind of a one-off colorway. The color was Vintage Library, and Jess gifted me a sweater quantity of this, and I used, my friend Jess, hi Jess, I used it to make my Nebula sweater by Andrea Mowry last year, and I had this one skein left, so I used that. And then I faded that into this really pretty pink and blue marled kind of speckly color, which was also a gift from Jess. This is Casual Fashion Queen's color, the Heron. And I love how these two marled together. It was such a nice fade. From there, we went into this really pretty kind of pinky tanny color, which is La Bien-Aimé's Autumn Hydrangea, which was an exclusive colorway for Shop La Mercerie out on Bainbridge Island. And I did purchase that while I was out there a few years ago. And from there, I think this is probably the best fade. From that color, we faded into this creamy, berry, like purpley color, and they just faded like really seamlessly. And this color is Woolberry Fiber Co.'s oh my gosh, I really cannot speak today, I'm sorry. Rhubarb and Custard Drizzle Cakes, which is really, really pretty. And then we started getting a little brighter, so we faded into this fun purpley pink with bits of yellow and tan, and that color is by Sweet Georgia. The color is Rosy Posy. And then we started getting some pink, so we faded into this color, which is from Dye Mad Yarns, that local studio, and that is the Sagittarius color. And then lastly, I had a skein of Spin Cycle I decided to use, which is, it's their dyed in the wool, the sport weight base, and the color is Reckless Abandon. And it's just like this little edge here, and it's like pinks and orange. And I will say, in hindsight, I kind of wish I had not used the Spin Cycle, just because all the other yarns are like speckled and variegated, but the Spin Cycle really has just like a striping effect. And you know, when I was laying out the fade and they were all wound into cakes, it looked really beautiful, but knitted up, it just has a very different feel. I don't mind it being right on the edge. Like, I'm glad that when I used it, it was right on the edge, because it's almost like a nice little finish, but it does just kind of have a different look from the rest of the shawl. But honestly, this whole project for me was just about like color play and like happy knitting, and it totally was that. So it's so huge. The shape is really interesting. So again, you started here with this kind of chevron. There is a center spine, but it's very minimal. And then the spine starts shifting to one edge. So you end up with this triangle point, and then that decreases all the way out to nothing, basically, like right here. And then this is the edge that you're left with. And I just have to show you, like when I wrap this, if I wrap this around myself, like in the middle, like this, the points, like these points are like touching the floor. Like that is how long this thing is. So yeah, really don't know how to wear it. I had a lot of fun knitting it. I mean, actually, the one way I was just like cold in my office. I like wrapped it and like tied it behind my back. Like that's how long it is. Like I could like wrap it like this. And when I was just like sitting at my desk and I was pretty cold, but I wanted to have my hands free, like I was kind of into that. That was cozy. So I definitely think it is going to be a wear in my office, wear around the house kind of thing, just because the colors are wild and it's so massive. I really don't know how to style it, but I keep wanting to just like fling this over my shoulder. But yeah, it was super fun to knit, kind of a wild thing, but you know, I really enjoy knitting crazy, colorful things every once in a while. Let's be honest, quite often I like to do that, and I'm fine with that. I wear them around my house. I think they're pretty. I look at them. So this will go up on my shawl wall in my shawl corner. If you watch the Friday Fiber Chats, you get a little bit of a different view into the craft room, and you can probably see those in the background. So maybe you'll see this one in the background as well. I don't even know how I'm gonna hang it up there because it's so long, but yeah, I really had a fun time knitting it. So if you participated in the March to May KAL, let me know what you made down below. I'd love to hear. And if you've ever made this shawl, let me know. Have you found a way to wear it? Because it's so massive. That is it for finished objects. Let's move on to works in progress. Okay, I have 7 whips that I'd like to share with you today, which it actually feels like less than I normally have because I've been pretty focused on 2 garment whips that kind of had a deadline. So I finished the outline tank for my sister, which didn't have a real deadline, but she did mention wanting to wear it for ComFest here, a community festival, which is at the end of June. So definitely wanted to get that done in time for her to wear that if she wanted to. And like I said, once the body was finished, it went really quickly. So I actually finished that sooner than I expected to. And the other is a test knit, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So I do have 3 pairs of socks. So let's start with those. And to be clear, I have more than 3 pairs of socks on the needles. I think I have like 6 at least right now, but I'm just going to show you the 3 that I've been working on. So the first one is the next pair from Summerlee's book. And I did talk about these in my sock knitting plans Friday Fiber Chat that just came out. And I really haven't worked on them that much since I cast them on, but I'm really loving how they look. So this section of the book is all about textured socks. So starting to get into some of the more fun designs. And let me just show you, I'll put a picture. These are the Surf Wax socks. So they have this really nice chevron texture and a little bit of a pop color on the cuff. And I can show you the colors I'm gonna be using. I am making these for a friend who is getting married later this year. So I'm gonna be gifting I wanna make socks for him and his partner, and I will be gifting them to them at the wedding. So this is the first pair. And this yarn, I think I got in a D-stash. It is Northern Bee Studio Yak Socks. So it's 20% yak, 10% nylon, 70% superwash merino. And this is the color. It's a really pretty, rich, kind of deep raspberry color. And it's called the Madam's Velvet Couch, which is very funny. So yeah, really beautiful main color. And then for the pop, I am using this, this was a La Bien-Aimée skein that I got the same time I bought that autumn hydrangea color when I was out at La Mercerie. And I've used it for a bunch of things at this point, and I can't really remember the colorway name, but maybe it was like coquelicot, no, I don't remember, but it is a really beautiful deep teal. And the person I'm making these for loves like a jewel tone. They have a very preppy kind of Ralph Lauren type of style. So I thought these colors would be perfect for them. And I'm knitting these on Magic Loop because I ran out of all my DPNs. So I did actually just order some more because my sock knitting drive has been very high lately and I ran out of needles. So I'm knitting these on Magic Loop, which isn't my usual go-to, but here's what I have. So I did knit the cuff on DPNs and then I switched to Magic Loop to start the pattern. I find top down on Magic Loop very hard to get started. So starting with the DPNs and then switching was just fine for me. And yeah, you can really see, I think that pop color is really fun on there. And then you can see that chevron pattern starting to emerge. So lots more to go on these, but a fun start. And I think my friend is gonna love this color combo. I was afraid it would feel a little Christmassy, but I don't really think it does. I think it just kind of feels like preppy Ralph Lauren vibes, like I was saying. So yeah, enjoying these so far, but not too much to show there yet. All right, the next one is very exciting. So I say my sock mojo has been high, and so has my sock design energy. So I don't know, it kind of has come and gone over the past few years. I have released one sock pattern that is free if anyone is interested. I can put a picture. It's called the Savannah socks. And they were inspired by, I was knitting like a set of socks for my partner Troy, and I wanted one to use up leftover like from the other two colors. And I just kind of designed this like fun ribbed stripy sock. So yeah, that pattern's available for free on Ravelry. If you're interested, please feel free to download. But that was a while ago, and I've talked a lot about this coneflower sock design that I've been kicking around for like years now, and I am still working on that. But I've gotten lately just like all these other ideas that I've wanted to explore. So one of them, and this always happens to me, I woke up at like 4 a.m. with this idea for this pattern, and I had to just go knit it like immediately because I couldn't fall back asleep until I did. So sometimes my brain wakes me up in the middle of the night with these ideas, but I have finished the first sock. And these were inspired by eyelet lace. So I can put like a picture of the inspiration in here, where you have that scalloped edge and then you get little eyelets. And let me just show you the first one. I am calling these the eyelet edge socks. So here you can see that little scalloped edge with the eyelets. It's got a little bit of like fullness built into the ruffle as well, so it kind of bows out. So when you're wearing them, the ruffle kind of sticks up a little bit. And then there's just a little bit of twisted rib to kind of help that stand up. And then a short little 1-inch leg, a classic heel flap and gusset, and she has a little contrast toe. So this yarn is a really beautiful sock set that I purchased 1 or 2 years ago, I can't remember. La Mercerie does their year of socks, and every once in a while you can get like an extra skein, and that's what this was. It was by Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co., and the color was Pirouette on their Romantasy sock base, which is a 75-25. And the main color, as you can see, is this kind of pinky, sandy neutral with just some like little bits of that, like, you know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, not cornflower. It's like, wow, I can't remember this color. Just that light purpley blue. The word is escaping me. But yeah, I thought something really soft would be really pretty for these. And I think I cranked this one out in like 3 sittings, like 3 sessions. It was like a very quick knit. I'm not 100% happy with the cuff, so I feel like you're not really getting a lot of credit for the eyelets right now. So I'm gonna take a different approach on the second sock and hopefully spread the eyelets out a little bit more so they drop down a little bit farther and you hopefully get a little bit more credit for them. So the scallop is achieved with a dip stitch. Hopefully I can get this close enough so you can see. So yeah, that right there is a dip stitch. So there's no short rows or anything like that. It's all straight knitting, but then on one row you do have a little dip stitch to create that scalloped edge. And I'm really pleased with how the scallop turned out. I think that looks really cute. I just want to get a little more credit for the eyelets. So like I said, I'm just going to take a different approach to that on the second pair, and we'll see how they turn out. I did have to block these like with pins to get the scallops to stand up straight. So that's one thing I will have to note in the pattern if/when I release the pattern. But yeah, I think the effect is really nice, and I was hoping that they would be a bit more ruffly, so it could just be the stringent blocking that caused them to be a little bit more like this and a little bit less like ruffly, but I don't know. I'd love to hear your feedback. What do you think? If you like the pattern, if/when it comes out, it will be a free pattern, so it'll probably have 3 sizes. And yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback. I do think they're really cute. I did try them on. I'll just put it on my arm so you can kind of see what the little ruffle looks like when you have them on. You get a little bit more credit for it that way, and it is super cute. So yeah, I'm pleased with them, but I want to finesse a little bit. And like I said, I'd love to hear your feedback. I knit this one in record time. So yeah, really fun. I've been really excited about designing. As I said, I have like 3 or 4 other design ideas, and I just can't knit fast enough to keep up with my brain. So I had to start a sketchbook for sock designs. Okay, next one is really fun, and I didn't think I would have this to even show you today, but I do. So the new Colorwork Cuff Club chart for June came out actually yesterday on May 31st from Summerlee, and I cast them on this morning, and I got quite a bit done. So let me show you the yarns I'm using. This one had a lot of colors. I can put a picture of it in here. It's a really fun kind of geometric Fair Isle kind of design. And this is probably the longest color work chart we've had in the entire club so far. It's like 40 some rows. Usually they're not anywhere near that, like 20, 30 at the max, but usually they're closer to like 12 or 15. And I'm sad, this is the second to last club. I can't believe that. It started in August last year. And yeah, there's only going to be one more. So I'll be really curious if she decides to re-up and like do another year or not. And if she does, I'm kind of on the fence as to whether I will participate or not. I think I've really enjoyed it so much, but like I know myself, like if I join the club, I'm going to feel like I need to knit them every month. And I've gotten so excited about designing. Part of me kind of wants to shift my focus to that a little bit. So we'll see. Knowing me, I'll probably, impulse join in if she decides to do it again, but we will see. So anyway, the colors I'm using, this is my main color, the color is Gupta, and this is a La Bien-Aimée color. It was one of their birthday colors. So beautiful. It's just like these like soft candy pastels and neons with these little flecks of all these fun colors. I really love this color. And then I'm using a bunch of like rainbow brights for the contrast colors, kind of colors that I pulled out of the speckles in the main yarn. And these were all just little minis that I had in my stash. And the whole thing is kind of giving 80s Barbie vibes, and I'm here for it. So yeah, I cast on this morning, and the color work was just so addictive. I just kept going. Oh, I've lost my stitch marker. Okay, here we go. So yeah, here's where we're at. Try and tuck all the little ends in. So it has a 2x1 rib cuff, as all the Colorwork Cuff Club socks do. And then the first checker is in that teal. The little floral motif is in the neon yellow. Purple checkers, and then I love this motif, these like checkerboard kind of diamonds. Yeah, I kind of just couldn't stop knitting them because they're so fun. I'm not loving the neon yellow. I feel like I'm not getting quite enough contrast with that for that one with the background, but I'm not gonna redo it at this point. I'm just gonna power through. You're still getting the little pop from that, which is nice. So yeah, I was worried they were gonna feel too like bright, like 90s Taco Bell colors or something, but I think it is soft in a way that I like, and I love this motif in the pink. So yeah, I'm a little over halfway through. So basically these 3 motifs are like mirrored on the other side of this. But all these motifs are really easy and intuitive to knit, and that's why I just kept going, because it was so like potato chippy. Like 2x2. This one is very easy, 2x2, and then this is basically 1x1 color work. Like they're all really quick and easy to knit. So honestly, you could just stop it here and this would also be really cute. I do think I'm gonna knit the whole thing, but yeah, super fun. Didn't expect to have this much done, but happy to. And I will probably finish the color work on this guy today when I'm editing this video. I think they're just gonna be really soft, pretty, springy colors, which is what I wanted. So loving those so far. Okay, that's it for socks. Next is the Harlow flip. So I spontaneously decided to participate in Andrea Mowry's weekend knit along for the Harlow flip. There's definitely been some discourse about this pattern, and I will say I didn't even really think about it. I did own the Harlow hat already in the worsted weight, you know, gauge, which this pattern is basically the same as that, but with a syncopated brioche so that when you fold the cuff up, the colors are like the same on the inside and the outside. I will say, like, having seen both patterns now, there are other differences. I think the sizing is a little bit different. The crown decreases are a little bit different. I think overall the Harlow flip is the better pattern. Like, you could make this one without the brim and it would just be like the old version. So I don't know. I kind of like, I totally understand like her releasing it as a separate pattern. I think in another universe, it could have easily been like an update to the existing Harlow pattern, but to each their own. No shade to her. I happily paid for it. I love her content so much. Like I love her YouTube videos. I enjoy all of her designs and like I'm happy to support her, but there's just been a bit of a discourse about this pattern because of how similar it is to the existing pattern, but I was happy to pay $7 for it. So I just did decide to participate because we were driving to New York City over the weekend, over Memorial Day weekend when the knit along was going on, and I thought that would be a great car project. So let me show you what I have. I didn't finish in time. Here's what I have. The other reason I decided to participate was because I had yarn in stash that I could use. So I had this awesome purple, like gray, kind of black spin cycle. I do not remember the colorway name of this one. And then I had the black is Harrisville Nightshades. And I just thought those would be really pretty together, which I do think they are. So yeah, I am still working on this one, working on the second color. Here's where you syncopate the brioche so you can see the color placements flip. And that's so that when you fold up the brim, it matches the rest of the hat, which is very clever, and I think it's gonna look really good. I love the side with the blackout if you want like a little bit more of a minimal look, but I'm not gonna turn it inside out. I'll forget where I am. I think this side is really pretty too with the purple facing out, so I love that it's reversible. If I decide I wanna wear it with the purple out for a little bit of a bolder look, I can do that as well. So yeah, just chugging along on this. I mean, there's no urgency with it at this point since I didn't finish it in time for the knit along, but I think the yarns are really pretty together and I really like the effect. I did do the 2-color tubular cast on, which is not fun. I don't enjoy doing that, but I think in this case, it's really worth doing so that like when you turn it inside out, it has like the darker color on this side, it has the lighter color on this side. Like it really is worth doing if you want the hat to be fully reversible, but it is a pain. I don't enjoy doing it. But yeah, so I'll finish this probably in the next couple of weeks sometimes whenever the mood strikes me to do some brioche, and I have been enjoying it so far. Okay, next up is the test knit. So let's talk about this. I have had a very good experience with this test knit until yesterday. So let me talk about it. This is the Winnie top by Lily Kate Franz. Here is a picture of it. I am obsessed. I think it is gorgeous. I love the like wider kind of like tank top, almost like cap sleeve look. I love the lace trim. I just think the whole thing is gorgeous. So I applied to test and was accepted. And the deadline is June 16th. So I have time to finish it, but I am prioritizing it. As I said, it's getting most of my knitting time because it is, excuse me, a fingering weight top. So the yarn I'm using is Knit Picks Gloss in the fingering weight, and I'm loving this yarn. I'm doing it in black also, so there's some fuzz on there, but oh my god. Yeah, it is black, and this yarn is, it comes in 50-gram balls, so I had 4 of these, and it is 70% merino, 30% silk, and it has such a nice hand feel. It's very light and it's very glossy and shiny, and Knit Picks gloss, so that makes sense. And let me show you where I'm at. Gonna be hard to show the black on camera. So I joined in the round and I knit on the body until I ran out of that ball of yarn. So I've probably got about 3.5 or 4 inches on the body. It has this pretty lace detail on the side seam. And I tried it on, so I put it on tubing and I tried it on yesterday, and the fit is perfect. I'm so excited. I think this is gonna be, it might surpass this as my new favorite like spring and summer top. I think the fit is amazing. And my beef is with this lace on the neckline. So, and it's totally my own fault. I decided yesterday I was gonna add the lace on the neckline, so you can kind of see on the back there, this super pretty lace edging goes all along the neckline. It's a V-neck, and the neck is sitting like perfectly. Like, I think it looks so pretty. I, for whatever reason, was still working from V1 of the pattern, even though we're now on V3 of the pattern. And I should definitely have like gone off the new version of the pattern, because I think the numbers got updated for the lace. And basically what happened is, you see, this is the center front of my V-neck right here. I'm trying to show this. This is supposed to line up with that, and like where this, you kind of shape the V-neck into the lace, and that is supposed to line up over here, and it didn't. I was off by about 12 stitches. So it's not the end of the world. Probably no one else would notice it except for me, but if I have time, I will go back and fix it. And the reason I say that is because attaching this lace was extremely fiddly. This was definitely my least favorite part of this project so far. I think it looks beautiful, but basically you pick up stitches around the neck on one needle, and then on a separate needle, you cast on the lace and you knit the lace, and then you attach it with a 3-needle bind off, which I just found to be quite fiddly. And it's many stitches, like over 100 stitches, because it's fingering weight. So that was not my favorite process. It took much longer than I anticipated. So at this point, because the test knit deadline is looming, I'm kind of like, if this is all, like, it's done for photos, this is how it's gonna be done. If I have time to redo it before the deadline, I will, but I will rip this out and redo it at some point, like before I start wearing it. I'm just not sure if I'm gonna have time to do it before the test deadline. So for now, it's staying as it is. Like I said, probably no one else would notice that, but if you look closely right here where the V is supposed to be, it doesn't have that same like peak that the other lace points have right here. So the whole thing is kind of shifted over like one motif for me. This again is supposed to line up with the V there in the middle. So again, especially because it's in black, probably no one else would ever notice that, but I think it'll bother me, so I probably will redo it. It was a couple hours of work, so it'll be worth redoing to wear it and be really happy with it. But yeah, I need to get a move on. So thankfully it is meant to be waist length, so I don't have too much more to do in the body. Next, I need to add the lace on the armholes, and I'll be sure to use the updated version of the pattern for that. And then I'll get back to finishing the body. So like I said, I have about 15 days left. I do think it'll be plenty of time to finish it. It's knitting up surprisingly fast considering it's fingering weight, but we'll see if I get to fix the neckline before the test deadline or not. So wish me luck, send speedy knitting. I gotta crank this one out in the next 2 weeks. So that is that. And the last whip, I'm lying, I have one more, but I haven't worked on it in a hot minute. So let me show you. Oh man, okay, sorry. I've got like a little pile of things over here. Okay, so this was a total spontaneous cast on. I saw on Instagram that Lina was hosting a knit along for this book, 52 Weeks of Scrappy Yarn, Scrappy Projects. that I got at local yarn store day, and I was really itching to cast on something from this book, so I did totally spontaneously decide to join this knit along and cast on the Matka sweater, which is this really cool scrappy number here. It has a lot of really unique details. And this pattern is by Megumi Shinagawa, and I apologize if I am mispronouncing that. But I had so much fun going into my stash and pulling out a bunch of different colors. This project is living in this project bag, which was made for me by my friend Nicole, who is a regular at our craft night. And I love this bag. She made it from a pair of old Carhartt, like, you know, cargo pants. So it has all these great pockets, and she did some really beautiful like hand stitching on it and this little patchwork piece. So yeah, I love this bag. I love that it's a scrappy project in a scrappy bag. So yeah, really happy to be using that. And the reason it's in here is because there's so much yarn and it's so huge, it wouldn't fit in any of my little bins. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna show all the colors right now just because I don't really want to take them all out of the bag, but I just went in my stash and pulled out a bunch of different DK weight yarns in my kind of color palette, and I've just really barely gotten started on this. So I can show you what I have, which is the neckband, which is really cool. It has this little kind of overlapping split in the front, which goes like here, which is really cute. And that first color I'm using is just like a undyed yarn. I think it's maybe Barocco Lanis that I had in stash. And then there is this fun mosaic section, which I'm using 2 different shades of purple mixed with that cream. So yeah, this is what I have so far. The rest of my colors in the background, so like the main colors, I'm kind of going from cream to gray. So I have a few different shades of like neutral, kind of like how they did in the pattern book. And then my other pop colors are like a navy, there's a brighter blue, there's some pink, some like chocolate brown, just scraps of other things I've already used. So yeah, really fun project. I'm eager to get back to this one. I think once I finish my test knit, I will hopefully get to put in some more work on this one. But that's really all I have to show for now. Really fun knit along, really great book. If any of you are participating in that knit along or knitting anything from that book, like, I'd love to hear about what you're making. And the last whip I was just going to touch on was spinning. So I did start spinning the most recent fiber club I got from Kira Wiggins. And this one was called Pearl or Rainbow Pearl or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but it's so, so beautiful. It has kind of a pinky mauvey base. It's really, the camera's not gonna do it justice, but it has all these like rainbow colors in it, and it has rainbow stellina or fire star nylon or something that makes it sparkly. It's really, really pretty. So this is the first single. I have 2 more to go. And I have kind of been thinking about Tour de Fleece, which is coming up, which, if you are not familiar, is kind of just like a spinning event, like a, I don't know, everybody spins like during this time if they want to. And the dates line up with Tour de France. So this year, I think it's July 5th to July 27th. So I've not been spinning as much in the past month or so, but probably because I know I'm gonna probably spin every day during Tour de Fleece. So I do have this one I'd like to finish, and then I'm kind of just rolling into acquisitions here, but I did just get the next Fiber Club installment, and this one is really, really beautiful as well. So here is the one I just received. It is called Sweet Honey Buckin, which I think it was inspired by Kira's experience at the Cowboy Carter tour. Really, really pretty, rich hay straw, kind of caramely yellow color. Definitely not something I would typically buy for myself, but I'm really excited to spin it, and I think it is very friendly with the other colors in the club so far, which my tentative plan is to knit them all into some type of color work or striped sweater at the end. So I think this as like a stripe or a little bit of color work will be really, really pretty. Super rich color, really lovely. This one is 50% Polworth, 25% flax, 15% alpaca, and 10% silk. So I've not spun anything with flax yet. You can kind of see it those more like hay-like pieces sticking out a little bit. So that'll be a really interesting new blend to try. That is also my only acquisition that I have purchased a few things recently that aren't here yet just to help me finish some of the projects I've already started. So I'm really excited to get back to my middling cardigan soon. Again, once I finish my test knit, I'm hoping to finish that up. And I needed buttons, so I ordered some buttons for that. And I also want to get back to my Miles shirt jacket at some point because I also don't think that's going to take me that long to finish. But I was gonna run out of yarn, so I needed to order a second colorway of an unspun yarn. So I did end up ordering that. I'll show you next time. I got like a really dark, almost like a black to go with that. And what else? I ordered some more DPNs, like I said. So those things are on their way to me now. Okay, so that's really it for things to show you, but I thought I would just do a little bit of chat, and I started writing down things to mention, and I had like quite a few. So yeah, I'll just kind of run through them in no particular order. So yeah, we recently went to New York. We drove over Memorial Day weekend just to visit some friends. It was one of our friends' birthday, but it ended up being a very eventful weekend. So I super last minute, and I haven't talked about this really on the channel, but my partner Troy and I are getting married next fall in next October, 2026. It's starting to feel real. Like we decided to do that, you know, with like over 2 years before the wedding, and we didn't do like a formal engagement or anything, so we kind of just decided when we were going to do it. And yeah, it's really starting to feel real. So I spontaneously decided to try on some dresses while I was in New York, and I think I found the one that I'm gonna buy, so that was really exciting. I'm not going to show it here just in case Troy would happen to see it, but obviously after the wedding, I will be sure to show you guys some photos, but it was a really great experience. I was a little bit nervous about trying on wedding dresses just because I've heard so many people had bad experiences with like places not being size inclusive or like not having a like body neutral try on experience. So that was something that was really important to me. And I found this designer called KAL, who is based in New York. They make all of their dresses there in-house, and they're super size inclusive. And I went with 2 of my friends, and the designer herself was the one who helped us with the appointment, and it was just perfect. Like it was such a delightful experience. I loved all the dresses, but yeah, like I said, I think I found the one I love the most. And like her dog was there. Like it was just, you know, we had the whole space to ourselves. Like it was very private, and I just loved, the whole thing was perfect. So that was really, really an unexpected, delightful surprise. It's pretty early to be ordering my dress. They recommend 8 to 12 months, and right now it's closer to like 15, 16 for us, but it's okay. I'll just be ordering it over the summer. We also ended up seeing Chicago while we were there, which was fun, the musical. And on Sunday, we went out to Governor's Island for my friend's birthday, which, if you're not familiar, is just like a little tiny island right off the southern coast of Manhattan. It is like a 2-minute ferry ride to get there. You could throw a stone from the edge of Manhattan to this island. But it was super fun. Like there's no cars out there, so it's kind of just like an adult playground. Like they have like bikes and pedal wagons, and there's bars and restaurants, and you can just like sit by the water and have some, like an Aperol spritz and some oysters and look out and see Manhattan and the Statue of Liberty. And yeah, that was super, super fun. So we had a really great time. I didn't make it to any yarn stores while I was there, sadly, because we ended up just being super busy the whole time. Oh, because the other thing was our friends that we were visiting adopted a little baby kitten that weekend. So it was like a very jam-packed weekend. We got to spend a lot of time with the kitten. Her name's Ginger. She's very sweet. And yeah, we just had a great time hanging out with friends, had lots of great food, and found my wedding dress. So that was really exciting. As I already told you, I gifted the baby knits to my future sister-in-law and Troy's brother, and they really loved them. So that was fun. Sorry, I'm just going through my list here. One thing I did want to touch on, because I've had a couple people ask, my quilt of the month project, or block of the month project, where I'm doing the cool like applique kind of quilt. I'm still planning on doing that, but I wanted to explain why I've gotten behind on it. So we live in Central Ohio, and a couple of months ago, we tested our basement for radon. which is very common in our area, and it was hot, the levels were high. So if you don't know what radon is, it is like a colorless, odorless gas, like radioactive gas basically. And it sounds very scary, and it kind of is very scary if you have high levels. I don't want to go too into this, but it's something that you should deal with if it's in your home at a high level. So we tested ours and it was high, and we needed to mitigate it. And unfortunately, all of my sewing and quilting supplies and my big cutting table are in the basement. So once we kind of realized that the levels were high, I didn't really want to be spending a lot of time down there until we could get a mitigation system installed. So we have now done that, and it now feels great and safe to be in the basement again. So I really just need to get back to that project. That's also why I haven't been doing any sewing of any kind, because I just was trying not to spend a lot of time down there. And I don't want anyone to be scared or concerned. It's very much if you have exposure at a high level over like the course of your lifetime, there can be serious health impacts, but hopefully since we caught it fairly early and we're able to mitigate, we will be fine, just fine. So yeah, kind of something that we just needed to deal with that unfortunately was prohibiting me from doing any of my more fabric related fiber hobbies. So just to kind of explain that, but I do want to catch up on the quilt. I'm like 2 or 3 months behind now, so I do really want to catch up on that and get back to doing it every month now that I'm able to use that space again. Sorry to ramble on about radon. And the last thing was just that I'm really excited to share with you something new that I'm going to be doing, which is teaching at local yarn and fabric shops, so to speak, which if you've been around here for a while, you've probably heard me talk about them a lot, maybe even seen them in some of my videos. There's some footage from the shop in my recent local yarn store day video. And I actually used to teach there many years ago, like during, I mean, it was at least 5 or 6 years ago at this point, I used to teach crochet classes there. But I recently went to an event there and got to talking with the person that organizes the classes, and they asked if I would want to teach sock knitting and colorwork knitting. So those are two of my loves, and I definitely had to consider it just because I do have a full-time job. I have YouTube as a hobby on top of that and all of my other hobbies, and I wasn't sure if I really had time, but I think that I do, and I really want to do it. So right now I am in the process of developing my class proposals and what all of that would look like. And then I will be working with the shop to coordinate sample materials and get the classes scheduled and everything. So I'm going to be teaching intro to sock knitting, like sock knitting 101 basically, and hopefully a sock knitting 102. So what that might look like is 101 I'm leaning towards that being like a DK weight, cuff down sock, heel flap and gasset, easy peasy, DPNs probably. And then 102 would be like toe up, fingering weight, magic loop, kind of just to give like a different experience, because I think it's hard with socks because there's so many different ways to go about it, and that's part of what makes it fun. But when you're trying to teach someone, I think that is a little bit of a challenge. And then also going to be teaching colorwork. So I think the first colorwork class we're developing is hopefully going to be like a colorwork doodle cowl class. So I'm hoping we can use doodle decks and people can kind of design their own cowl in that way. And it'll kind of be like an intro to stranded colorwork. But I have a bunch of other class ideas floating around in my head. So that's something I'm going to be working on in the next couple of months. Classes probably would not start until like August or maybe even September, if you happen to be interested, but I will definitely keep you all posted. But there is going to be some sample knitting required as part of that process. So I will be definitely sharing all the samples with you guys as well as I'm working on them. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. And I can't wait to share more. So that is really all I had today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy to have you all here. It really brings me so much joy to come here once a month and be able to share all my projects with you and hear from you in the comments. So please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you're working on or if you're participating in any of these KALs or anything like that. Yeah, I've been really enjoying all my projects lately, and I hope that you have been too. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I am trying to grow this little community that we have here, so every little thing helps. Liking the video really helps it to reach further. Subscribing to the channel helps the channel to reach further. And if you want to get notifications when I post a new video, you can ring the bell to get a notification. What else? I feel like I'm forgetting something. I think that is it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and close it out. Thank you so much for being here. I will catch you on the next one. I'll be back with Friday Fiber Chat next week. Not sure what about yet, so it'll be a surprise. And yeah, I hope you get lots of crafting time until then, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.